Why are successful men not dating? Why is it that when a man gets a little bit of money, he does not want to be in a relationship anymore? He says, nope, I don't want to date. This is it. I'm done. I'm going to be single. And it's kind of like, it doesn't make sense, right? Because like you now have the money to have a family, to take care of a woman, to actually have women in your life. Why would you not want to settle down? It's like all the guys that I like as a woman are not the ones that really want to even have a family and be married. Why is this happening? And all the guys I don't want me. Today's video, I'm gonna break this stuff down. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Sumi. I'm a lifestyle coach. I'm a dating coach. I talk a lot about business and a lot of different topics. And if you ever want to stay on top of all my videos, hit that bell notification right there. DM me down below on my Instagram. If you ever want to connect with me, just shoot me a message. I will get back to you. But more than anything, like, subscribe, comment on the video. I just started this YouTube channel not too long ago, and I really appreciate any engagement that I get because it's not a big YouTube channel, but I really want to get it out there so as many people as possible can see my videos and see the information that I'm putting out. Let's go ahead and dive into today's episode of why successful men don't date. Okay, now this video is not aimed in a negative way towards women, and it's not going to be in a way to encourage men that are successful to not date. But I really want to explain this from my perspective as well. Not saying that I'm the most successful man out there, but I do well for myself. But also from a lot of other guys that I know that are successful. I've interviewed over 30 people before I actually did this video on why they don't date. Guys that I know that are in the industry. If you go through my following list, you can see I follow a lot of successful people, a lot of business owners, and I've talked to a lot of them. And I've kind of asked them, like, as you make more money, as you become more successful, is it pushing you to date more? And pretty much every single one of them said no. In fact, they pretty much all said that the more money and the more success they've had, the less likely they are willing to get into relationships with people. It's not that they're not completely unwilling to do so, but it's becoming harder for them. And this video is a very structured analysis of it. And I hope this video teaches you something for all the women out there and for all the men out there. First and foremost, a man that has money has some level of success. Like, I'm talking about people that generate a certain level of cash flow from their profession, from their career, from the things that they do. And I don't necessarily have a number for what success is, but I would generally advertise it around the top 4% of men. And that's the top 4% of earning potential in your certain area. So certain states have an earning potential of the top 1% of $300,000. Certain states, the top 1% is about $700,000. And so the 4% mark might be a little bit under that for both of those states. It may be, $220,000 for that one state with 350. It may be around $300,000 for the state with 700. But at the end of the day, the top 4% of men are what I consider the ultra successful men out there. And there's a couple of reasons for this, because number one, women select for the top 4% of men more than anything else. And this is shown by dating app data, where women tend to swipe on 4% of men on all dating apps. Men, on the other hand, swipe on 81% of all women on dating apps. So the first thing I want you to understand is that the men that are ultra successful are the prize. I know this is going to upset a lot of people. You can tap out of the video right now, but hear me out. When a man is very successful, like he's in shape, which is 1% to 3% of men, having a six pack, and he has a net worth of over $1 million, which is 8% of men, that just combined, without like being tall, Christian, whatever it is, that's less than 1% of men. And those men are astronomically rare. It is a lot easier to find an attractive woman with a pretty face than a man that's ultra successful. And I'm just keeping it real. Like, I live in Miami. There's beautiful women everywhere. There's also successful men everywhere. But at the end of the day, there's also beautiful women in Cleveland, Ohio, in my city that I grew up in for a while. And there's also beautiful women in Maryland, in New Jersey. And there's not a lot of successful men out there in the cities. In Cleveland, Ohio, there's only a few people that make a good amount of money. And so successful men are hard to find at the levels and calibers that a lot of women want today. And beautiful women are very available. There's a lot of surgeries, makeup, even filters that can enhance a woman's appearance. And so women, I think the majority of them, are very objectively attractive. There's a lot of beautiful women out there in the world. I never wake up and feel like, oh, there's no good looking women around me. There's good looking women everywhere. But what I do struggle with is finding men that have a very A-type mindset, that are very focused, that are very driven. Those guys are hard to find, and they're even harder to get a hold of. And then this is how it kind of breaks down. The top 4% of men are the prize in their relationships typically. And then the next bracket is the 81% of women. Those 81% of women are typically the prize in their relationship to the 96% of men that exist. So in the majority of relationships, actually, women are the prize. Women are really the prize the majority of the time, because men are chasing that sex, that validation, that attention, that lockdown nature of what that loyalty would be if a woman really likes them. But this is also why a lot of women always have cravings and lust, and they go for that top 4% of men. The top 4% of men in society hook up with the majority of women out there. And so what you'll really understand is that women are typically sleeping with the same man. A lot of women are, but they're also willing to entertain and indulge in the 96% of men that exist out there in the world, just because they want that kind of stability, that structure, that commitment. And what unfortunately happens a lot of times is that women will settle down with that 96% of men and constantly crave that top layer of guy. And it becomes that top 4% being the prize, then the 81% of women, then the 96% of men, then the 19% of women that are just undesirable. And that's just unfortunate because most men are very physically stimulated. So sometimes women in that 19%, if they're not in the right body shape, they don't look the right way, they're not desired, and they're not even looked at by men. And I would even consider it worse than being in the 96% of men, because being a woman that is not desired or not looked at as a woman is basically being a man, and you're not as biologically strong and you're not a man, so it just becomes a lot harder in life. So the top 4% of men that are very successful are the prize, and they don't necessarily want to date because they feel that type of way. Next is men that are successful have access. They can pick up, book a flight, book an Airbnb, go anywhere in the world, have access to women, fornicate, flirt, do whatever they want. They have access to things, and they have access to pretty attractive women, and they have access to them in ways that you may not necessarily even understand. So at the end of the day, why would they stop when they have access? You know what's funny? It's like when I first started making a little bit of money when I was 24 years old, people pushed me to settle down. People pushed me to get married and have kids just because I was making money. And what you'll realize as a guy is that you're not even valued when you're broke. When you don't have money, nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody wants to be your friend, aside from a couple guys that are your homies. But for the most part, women don't give a crap about you or being around you if you're not successful. And it becomes one of these things that really breaks your heart. Like, I remember how I was treated when I didn't make money. And now that I made a little bit of money, I'm not that old. Like, it's not like a fear of age thing. But since I was 24, women have pushed me to get married and settle down just because I made a little bit of money. And some of those women are genuine in the way that they approach me. They want me to do better for myself, and they see that I have the resources now. Some of them are selfishly saying it for themselves because they want me to settle down because they want to have a certain type of lifestyle. And it becomes very much apparent that people like you for what you can offer and what you have rather than who you really are. And when you start making money, you start to see how people treat you very differently. The same thing for women when they start losing a lot of weight and getting into shape. I've seen a lot of women glow up, and they talk about how scary it is on how people treat them differently and how people respect them more and how men give them attention. It's absolutely night and day. And it breaks their heart because the world we live in is very superficial. Men will treat women that are attractive with a lot of love and respect and do things for them because they want access to them sexually. And women will treat men that have a lot of money in a certain way because they want access to his resources. In addition to this, what you have to understand is that more money means more options, and with more options means more caution. Men that are successful are a lot of times very afraid of women. I am afraid of women sometimes because I know the risk that comes with dating a woman and things not working out. With social media today, a woman can literally just destroy my business and my reputation and be very aggressive with it. I wouldn't say destroy all the way, but really damage it. And if you look at a lot of examples out there where men were basically put on blast, like the Johnny Depp scenario, many people that are accused of false rape allegations, or even just, celebrities that definitely deserve it, like the whole P. Diddy situation. There's a lot of situations where women can single-handedly just destroy a guy's reputation, his legacy, and his life. So dating becomes a risk and not necessarily a reward. And so for a lot of successful men, they have to pick very carefully because the majority of women are not in it for the right reasons with these types of guys. You're dating this guy because he's successful, not because you genuinely like him. A lot of women will date successful men even though they're not good. Let's say Chris Brown, for example. Not trying to hate on Chris Brown. I love Chris Brown's music and what he does, but this man has 3 baby mamas and he has definitely assaulted a woman before in the past, and a woman will still pay $1,000 just to take a photo with him in front of their boyfriend. This is not being made up right now. Women do that. So at the end of the day, women will do what they want to do to get access to successful men, and they won't necessarily think about it logically. They see the success, the clout, the aura, and they'll just do it for that instead of who a man really is. Next is men stop tolerating bullshit when they're successful. They don't want to deal with the nonsense, the negativity, the drama that comes with the majority of women out there. It takes a really special woman to be with a man that's successful because she's going to have to tolerate him, and they don't want to tolerate the bullshit that comes with that. Men value peace over pleasure a lot of times when they're successful. And as I've grown older, I've always been attracted to pretty women, feminine women that are very emotionally intelligent and smart and driven. But now I could give a shit if she's intelligent, if she's driven, if she's a very resourceful person. I care more about the peace she brings to my life. I would rather date a woman that's not as attractive, that brings me peace, than a woman that is very, very ultra attractive, very sexual, the best in bed, very smart, very driven, but she's chaotic in my life at times. I would rather date somebody that brings me peace. Money teaches men the value of peace, sanity, and silence. And I value that in my life right now, and I'm not going to sacrifice that for anybody. More than anything, I want you to understand that men that are very successful look for legacy. I'm talking about generational legacy. For me, I want to get married because I want legacy. I want grandchildren. I want grandchildren of grandchildren. I want them to be able to be taken care of and not have to worry about a lot of things. A lot of women I meet don't really think like that. A lot of them think about themselves and what makes them happy, and they want to be in a relationship for their happiness. In fact, a lot of women will leave a relationship. 80 to 90% of divorces are done by women because they're not happy. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. Men don't necessarily leave a relationship because they're unhappy. They will still stay in it and still work in it a lot of times. They leave relationships in different ways. But more than anything else, women leave when they're unhappy. And I don't think my goal in life is just to make somebody else happy. I think my goal in life is to create legacy and to be somebody that actually left the world in a better place. And I don't think a lot of people see it that way. So for me, dating has become very hard because I have these big mindsets and these big goals, and I have access to things, and I've done things that most people haven't done. And it's hard for me to relate to a lot of women out there in the world that haven't seen the things that I've seen. The big thing I want you to understand is that when men have money and when men are successful, they don't really chase. Women are naturally hitting them up. Like the type of guy that you want, there's a bunch of girls that want him as well because, you know, you like what you see and women also like what they see as well. So when all that attention is poured on one guy, it can make him feel better in a way that's even bad, egotistical, Machiavellian, narcissistic, and just a bad individual. Sometimes men, when they get a little bit of money, it's like being a girl that's 18 years old and being the hottest girl on the block. Being a young guy that has money, that's in shape, is like literally unlimited attention. And I want you to understand that men never get that when they grow up. Men never get attention from women as they grow because they typically have nothing to offer. But when they start making a little bit of money, life starts opening up and things feel good and you're like a kid in a candy store. And some men want to indulge in that until they don't have that access anymore. Just like women want to indulge in being young, beautiful, single, getting invited into sections, yachts, private events, jets, wherever it may be. I know a lot of girls out here that are very attractive objectively in Miami, and they get invited to a lot of places and they tell me all the time, I would rather be single because I could not live my lifestyle if I was in a relationship. No man is going to provide me the things that I'm getting when I'm single because these men out here, I can get a different guy every week to do these things for me, and it's the same thing for men. Men can get a different girl every week to do those things for him, and it's kind of like one of those unfortunate truths of life. When you become very successful as a man, you can get access to anything, and a lot of men would rather have that than to be locked down in a relationship and forced to fuck one girl for the rest of life and forced to be with one person for the rest of life that may cause them drama, stress, and not give them everything that they want, because in their other aspects of life, they can get everything that they want because they work for it. I hope this video made sense. I hope it gave you a little bit of clarity as to why men that make a little bit of money start to become very, very single in their mindset. And I hope this helps you become better in your dating life. As a man, if you're a man that has a lot of money and you're successful, please try to think about the benefits of dating somebody and creating legacy. If you're a woman that's trying to go for a very ultra successful man, I would advise you not to. Go for the guy that's going to love you and care about you and really give you the time mixed with the attention that you need. Hope this makes sense. Love you guys. Till next time, Sumi out.